Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. Today I'm happy to present the 9th of the 12 Treats of Christmas and New Year's series. And this recipe is Eggnog Mousse Cake, a no-bake keto cheesecake, but much lighter. If you love easy-to-make keto desserts, then you will absolutely love this eggnog-flavored keto mousse cheesecake. This wonderful mousse cheesecake has a very light and velvety texture. And what I mean by the term mousse cheesecake is this is not a typical dense cheesecake because it's about halfway between the texture of a cheesecake and a mousse. And I think this is a perfect dessert for your holiday dinner or actually any time of year. As with everything I present and do on this channel, I strive to make all of my recipes keto compliant for those of us on the keto lifestyle and to also be delicious to those who are not on a keto diet, because I believe that my recipes to be something that you on a keto diet can enjoy, as well as your family members who are not on a keto diet. In fact, all of my recipes are keto, sugar-free, gluten-free, but at the same time they're intended to be a healthy version of what my carb-loving family and friends like. I really love it when they get a puzzled look on their face and ask, "Is this keto?" And then they follow up with the best phrase of all, "I couldn't tell." These remarks, in fact, validate and tell me that I have a good recipe. And I think this is important because being on keto in isolation is no fun. And I think the best way to have people understand what keto is all about is by sharing your recipes, especially with those who are skeptical. And you, by example, can demonstrate to everyone that you can still enjoy your favorite recipes on a keto diet. And before I forget, as always, the link for the printable written recipe for this eggnog mousse cheesecake will be posted in the description below. Now, the macronutrient ratio for this eggnog mousse cheesecake is 8:1 with 4.1 grams of total carbs, 0.2 grams of fiber, resulting in 3.9 grams of net carbs per delicious slice. As I mentioned, this no-bake cheesecake is an easy keto dessert that actually adapts to many different flavors. And here are most of the ingredients that you will need for your eggnog mousse cheesecake. By the way, this eggnog cheesecake can also be made without a crust, but because I'm making the eggnog mousse cheesecake for our holiday dinner, I'm going to bring it up an extra level. So I'm going to make my gingerbread crumb crust, and I'll show you the steps I took. Now, to make the cookie crumb crust, I used my gingerbread people recipe. And for this pie crust, just follow the directions for the gingerbread cookie. And when you've made the dough, simply take about 1/3 of the cookie dough, roll it out, and then place it on a parchment-lined baking sheet and bake as directed. And then when the gingerbread cookie sheet has been baked, remove from the oven and let your cookie cool to room temperature. And when the cookie is completely at room temperature, all you have to do is just break it up into crumbs, either just by using your fingers and crumbling it that way, or put it in a food processor or bullet type machine. Just don't make it too powdery. You want coarse crumbs. With that done, place the gingerbread crumbs into a bowl, pour the melted butter on top, and combine. Then press the crumb mixture into a 20 centimeter or 8-inch parchment-lined springform pan. I like to use a small measuring cup to press the crumbs down. I find that the pressure is more even doing it that way. And then I finish my crumb crust by using the back of a spoon to press around the perimeter. And this done, set the crumb crust aside for a moment. Next, if you want to make your whipped cream into the caramel whipped cream flavor, you will also need to make a batch of my keto caramel sauce and fat bomb recipe. After making the caramel sauce, just set it aside and let it cool to room temperature. You'll need the caramel sauce later on. And since we're making an eggnog mousse cheesecake, you obviously will need some of my creamy eggnog. During the holidays especially, I always make a double batch because this eggnog is not only great as a beverage, but it also can be used in several of my recipes. And now let's get started and make the eggnog mousse cheesecake. Into a small dish, add the water and gelatin. Then stir to dissolve the gelatin and set this little bowl aside until the gelatin blooms. Next, to a large mixing bowl or your stand mixer bowl, toss in the room temperature soft cream cheese. And if you're using a stand mixer, use a paddle attachment and whip until the mixture is very creamy. Because the cream cheese sticks to the bottom and sides of the bowl, make sure you stop and scrape the bowl every once in a while. Add the eggnog to the whipped cream cheese and also add the finely ground confectionery sweetener. Now we're going to add the nutmeg, cinnamon, salt, and vanilla extract, and whip until everything is very well combined. Into a second bowl, add the heavy whipping cream and whip the heavy whipping cream to a medium stiffness stage. This is when the whipping cream has some structure as shown, but does not form stiff peaks. And set this whipping cream aside for just a moment. Remelt the bloom gelatin and in a steady stream, pour the liquid gelatin into your cheesecake mixture while whipping continuously. After you've added all of your gelatin, continue whipping for about 1 minute. This will ensure that the gelatin is well incorporated into the cream cheese mixture. And also at this point, don't forget to scrape your bowl once in a while. Now that everything is well combined, it's time to add the whipped cream and blend together. At this point, the eggnog mousse mixture has to be very smooth, and you should make sure there are no lumps of cream cheese. And we're ready to pour the cheesecake mousse on top of your gingerbread crumb crust you made earlier. And smooth the top of your eggnog mousse cheesecake with your offset spatula. Cover the pan with cling wrap and place in the refrigerator overnight or until the cheesecake mousse is firmly set. And shortly before you intend to serve your eggnog cheesecake, prepare a second batch of whipped cream to a medium stiffness stage. One last thing, this is a stabilized whipped cream frosting, so you will need to also prepare your gelatin and water mixture, let it bloom, remelt, and use it in your whipped cream frosting. Add your vanilla extract and whip to blend. But don't over whip, you don't want it to curdle. And if you've prepared your caramels earlier and it's gotten a bit hard, it's time to reheat your caramel so that it's nice and liquidy. I'm also going to be using this caramel sauce for further decoration, so I'm putting some of it into a piping bag. After your caramel sauce is ready, add it to the whipped cream and then just whip everything together. Now the fun part. To decorate this delicious eggnog cheesecake, I placed my whipped cream frosting in a piping bag, which I'm using one of my decorative tips. You don't have to do it this way. You can decorate your cheesecake any way you like. But because I have this tip and it's for the holidays, today I'm going to be making little Christmas trees around the perimeter. Making these Christmas trees is very easy. Squeeze out a fat base and then as you pull up, make the base slimmer and then stop squeezing and pull up quickly to make a tip. Now again, this is optional and I'm just showing you variations of what you can do for your cheesecake. So my final step today is I'm going to put a ribbon of caramel sauce on the edge of my cake. But if you don't want to do the caramel sauce and the whipped cream, another really easy thing to do is add a light sprinkling of cinnamon or nutmeg powder to the center of your eggnog cheesecake. However, if you have used either plain whipped cream or my caramel whipped cream, you should place this finished cheesecake back in the refrigerator for about an hour so that the stabilized whipped cream can set properly. And here's my finished result. I hope you make it, and most of all, I hope that you and your guests will enjoy this amazing eggnog mousse cheesecake. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I would also like to thank everyone for the very kind words of encouragement and all your questions that you leave in the comments. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and sharing the link to my channel and this video with friends and family that may also enjoy a healthier version of our favorite treats.